Well, good evening. Good evening. Good evening. And I hope that you all are doing well. I made a promise to myself that no matter what, no matter who was on or not on, that I was going to start on time. And it's 8 o'clock on the dot. A lot of our folks are at the church. I didn't make it. So, to all of you at the church, yay, get it done for us. And for the rest of us, well, we'll be here. So, hello, 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 hello. So, I'm going to get my tea. Uh-oh, it's dripping a little. So, the first thing I want to say is happy birthday. Happy birthday. Happy birthday to my twins. My twins, Sajal Anthony Simon II and Sydney Simon, are 24. Now, they're almost 24. They were born at 10:37. That's Sajal. He's 1 minute older. And Sydney was born at 10:38. So I hardly ever wish them a happy birthday until almost now. 10:37 and 10:38 are coming up. And so, again, if you get a chance, say happy birthday to them. They would love it. Listen, tonight we're going to talk about let God transform you by changing your way of thinking. Now, this verse is infamous, or I won't call it infamous. It is known for Paul writing in Romans, and it's Romans 12:2. And I'm going to get there and read that to you. It says, let God transform you by changing the way you think. Let God transform you by changing the way you think. And so I thought this is going to be good because we need to change how we think. A lot of times we believe our own press clippings. We believe what everyone says as well as what we say about ourselves. And we ought to really be believing what God says about us. And so, dear brothers, I plead with you to give your bodies to God. Let them be a living sacrifice, holy, the kind He can accept. When you think of what He has done for you, is this too much to ask? And that's only verse 1. But verse 2 says, don't copy the behavior and customs of the world, but be a new and different person with a fresh newness in all you do and all you think. Then you will learn from your own experience how His ways will really car for the twins. So change your thinking, change your life. When you think creatively. So let me read the devotion of what we're talking about, and then we'll go a little further because I only have 3 points tonight, so we're going to go fast. When you think creatively, you're thinking like God, your creator. But not everybody will welcome your creative ideas. Ooh, that part. Jesus wasn't crucified because He worked miracles. He was loved and applauded for those. He was crucified for having ideas that challenged the status quo. That's me sometimes. God is the giver of great concepts, truths, and ideas. So when He gives you one, don't let anybody talk you out of it. I'm going to come back to that. Don't let the fear of rejection or failure kill your idea either. After all, you can't do something new and exciting if you force yourself to stay in the same old rut. Don't just work harder at the same old thing, make a change. And the first thing you will have to change is how you think. what you listen to, and what you believe. Take a look at the following phrases. I want you to listen. And I had typed these out, but I got a little lazy. So listen to these phrases and just put your finger like, do you see? Hey, Phoebe, I'm not a creative person. Number one. Have you ever heard follow the rules? Don't ask questions. Don't be different. Stay within the lines. There is only one way to do it. Don't be foolish. This one right here. Think of your image. Think of your image. Think of what people think about you. That's not logical. It's not practical. That's never been done. It can't be done. It didn't work for them. It's not going to work for you. We tried that before. Oh, we hear that a lot. It's too much work. We can't afford to make a mistake. It will be too hard to administer. We don't have the time. There we go. We don't have the time. We don't have the money. We don't have the money. Yes, but Tony talks about how when you say but, you negate everything else ahead. Paul writes, let God transform you into a new person by changing the way you think. Then you will learn to know God's will for you, which is good and pleasing and perfect. And I read that to you. The word for you today is change your thinking, change your life. And then do you guys have anything else to add to that? How about you're too old? I thought that. I'm too old to start this. I'm too old to go back to school. I'm too old to be a life coach. I'm too old. Or no one's going to listen to me. Okay? Or the definition of insanity, doing the same thing over and over and over again and expecting a different result. Let God transform you by changing the way you think. Now, you never know when your turn is coming. Okay? You never know. So what does it mean by let God transform you? Transform your thinking, transform your life. Change your way of thinking, change your life. When it came to the pandemic in 2020, there were a lot of things that Tony and I did during that time that hadn't ever been done. And I think a lot of the pastors and their wives had to come up with something different. We had to pray and ask God, what do you want us to do? Because no one's coming to church. So we have to do something different so that the people can still get the word and understand what's going on while this tumultuous time is going on, right? And the first night was when we did Bible study together, and we got a lot of calls about that. We got a lot of calls about it, and we got a lot of flack about it. Why is Laura sitting in the pulpit with you? Why is Laura teaching Bible study with you? Why is she? Why? And Tony said, well, that's what God told me to do. So that goes for the rest of you. I don't know who that's for while you're out and you're thinking, well, did God really tell me that? If you get any flack, if you start getting afraid or scared, fearful, that's normally a sign. I've got something on my page, a meme, where it's talking about when you start getting certain attacks, that's when you know you're on the right path. It's hard to come on. It's hard to get ready. It's hard when you have a lot of things going on. It's hard when you're listening to God, but then you're listening to other people. You think that you heard from God. No, a lot of us know that we heard from God, But we are so busy trying to please other people that sometimes we don't do what God says. We say, I'm not a creative person. So you doubt yourself. Confidence goes out the window. You can know he can. There are so many things, like even for She Shed that's coming up, shameless plug. She Shed has a lot of things given to us by God, to the women and myself. But you lose your confidence, you lose a little of your steam, and you go, I'm not going to do that. And then God says to you, or whispers to you, or shouts at you, you're going to quit? No, you're going to do what I told you to do. So make a change. And then it says, follow the rules. I'm really bad at that. You know, She Shed is a different type of conference, different type of Saturday for the ladies, different type. Because Deliver Me from the Fakeness, I probably won't get much on this one views at this point. It doesn't matter. You know, I had a person that I was really looking up to. As a matter of fact, it was two, and I got smoked by my friend Cheryl Kemp. But anyway, I digress. When God gives you an assignment, you need to do that assignment. And you don't need to look around, and you don't need to ask others. I mean, a lot of times I do ask Tony his opinion because he's my shepherd. He's my under shepherd. He's my pastor. He's my husband. And a lot of times he says to me, or he comes back to me with, what did God say to you? Don't worry about me. What did God say to you? And then I have to actually kind of say, well, he said this. He said, well, then do it. Stop saying, I'm going to wait on you. No, I'm not going to wait. No. He says, you're not going to wait on me. Follow the rules. Why do you follow the rules? We follow the rules because we don't want to be left out. We follow the rules because we don't want people to talk about us. And I have that bad. This is me. A couple weeks ago, I said, I don't want to be me. I am very forthright. That's like my mom. And there are a lot of different ideas that God gives me, that it's the creativity of it. And I say it. And normally I'm in trouble when I say it. Normally I get in trouble when I say it. So then I go back and then I question myself. Not only do I question myself, but then I ask God, was I supposed to say that? Did you really tell me to say that? And most of the time, God says, that's what I told you to do. Because for me, there are certain people that I look up to that I want to sound like. I want to be all smooth jazz. And I want to sound, so serious. And I want to spit out verses and just, be the one. Instead, I sound like this. I sound like I'm yelling. I told a group on Saturday, I feel like do I sound mad? Because a lot of people say, oh, you sound mad. But I'm not. This is just how our family talks. We are loud talkers and fast talkers. But lately, I've been asking God to refine my edges so that I sound a little different. Follow the rules. Don't ask questions. Don't be different. A lot of us don't want to be different. We don't want to rock the boat. So we just go along to get along. We just go along. No. And that's not what God told you to do. God said, rock the boat. Jesus wasn't just this, he's our savior, but man, oh man, he was all about relationships and he rocked the boat. He wasn't the regular dude. And so what are you? Are you fake? Do you want to please everybody? Do you want to stand on your own like you should? Or do you want to fit in, blend in, go with the crowd? And a lot of times when I've tried to blend in, fit in, go with the crowd, God has thumped me real good and outed me. Someone will say something to me, and then I will answer. I'll respond. And then there are times to keep the peace, I don't say anything. And then, I don't know about you, but if you don't do what God tells you to do, you're going to get a little tap on your hand or your booty. And then he's going to whisper in your ear, what did I tell you? That's going to be his question. Don't be different. Stay within the lines, color in the lines. There is only one way to do it. Don't be foolish. Think of your image. And that's what I said to Tony. I go, we need to think of our image. Really? Tony said, I don't care about my image. You don't? He goes, no. I'm thinking about what pleases God. What does God want me to do? And you should too. And stop trying to be somebody that you're not. Stop trying to be somebody that you're not. That's not logical. It's not practical. It's never been done. It can't be done. It didn't work for them. It's not going to work for you. You don't have God. Well, let me take that back. I shouldn't have said that. You may have God, but you don't do what God told you to do because you're afraid. I'll wait. You're afraid. A lot of us, including myself, a lot of times I don't do anything. I don't say anything. I don't move. I stand in the same space that I am because I walk like Leslie Sansone, like when I used to be on Leslie Sansone, and I just stay in place. Yeah, I'm marching, but I'm going nowhere. Unless I'm doing side steps. And even if I'm doing side steps, I'm going nowhere. I am simply standing in one place, going nowhere. We tried that before. It's too much work. We can't afford to make a mistake. Failure is a lesson. Sometimes you have to fail so that you can see what to do next time or what not to do next time. In everything you do, Proverbs 3:6, Living Bible, in everything you do, put God first. He will guide you and crown your efforts with success. It will be too hard to administer. We don't have the time. You know what I found out when I enrolled in school? Here's the thing. If God lets me live, and think about this about yourself. If God lets you live, so let's say he lets you live to 2027. So in 2027, I'll be, I think, 65. So I think so. So if he lets me live at 65, I will either be just 65 with no doctorate degree or 65 with my doctorate degree. Either way, I'll be 65. So what am I afraid of? I don't know who that's for. What are you afraid of? Why aren't you doing it? What's your excuse? Your excuse? A lie disguised as a reason. That's what an excuse is. You lie and disguise it as a reason. Or, yes, but. Yes, I would do it, but. Yes, I would try, but. Paul writes, let God transform you. Change the way you think. Then you will learn to know God's will for you, for your life, which is good and pleasing and perfect. So, 1, you're never too old. 2, stop doing the same thing, expecting a different result. 3, don't believe your own press clippings. Don't believe your own hype. Let me tell you something. When we talk about our image or what people think about us, get over yourself. You're not that great. And if you don't have God, you're especially not. Hey, Nancy. Change your thinking, change your life. Change your thinking, change your life. Have you even gone to God about your life? Have you asked him what you need to do, where you need to go, how you need to go? A lot of times we don't. A lot of times we lean on our understanding instead of his. Change your thinking. Change your life. How you think about yourself plays an important part. I know that I saw one of my girlfriends on today live. Stop doubting what God has told you. Stand firm. Be courageous. Joshua 1:9. For your God will never leave you or forsake you. And he'll help you every time. So I have a new attitude. Even if I'm afraid, like I told Dolores Llewellyn, even if I'm afraid, I'm going to do it. This is not easy. And when you have differing opinions, that's not easy. But if God himself whispered in your heart or just spoke it in your ear and told you, then get yourself up, dust yourself off, and do what he told you to do. And get over yourself. Tony said to me, do you really think I care? I said, well, what kind of attitude is that? He goes, one of, I know who I am. I know whose I belong to. I know who I belong to. And so when he tells me something, and when he gives me a creative idea, no matter if nobody else likes it, because he'll run stuff by me, and I'll be like, that's the stupidest thing I've ever heard. But it works. And why does it work? Because the creative idea came from his creator. And then when it doesn't work, he has learned a valuable lesson. So now I have to be honest, y'all. I was afraid before. Afraid of confrontation, afraid of never being able to change or saying things that was so. God wants you to dream big. Dream big. Because if he puts it in you, then he has given you, he has equipped you with the tools, the resources. If you need to ask him, ask him. God has opened up so many doors these last few weeks. Actually, these last few months. You know why? Because I finally surrendered. That's the word, Dolores. We surrendered. We gave it to him. I gave it to him and said, God, you know what? I'm about sick of boxing with you. I'm about tired. So whatever you want me to do, I surrender and I'm going to do it. So that's what I'm going to do. So for any of you tonight, let God transform you. And then change your way of thinking. Change your way of thinking. Let God transform you. Let it go. Surrender. Let the reins go. I watched this show last night on Netflix about the rain. It rained. REINED. About horses and the rain. And just a lesson last night on life. It was just a difference of two brothers hadn't spoke in 30 years over drama that was nothing. Nothing. One was saying, wow, I miss my brother. And the other one was saying, I miss my brother. Both of them had too much pride in their heart to even come to each other. But the granddaughter, which is the niece, great niece, had to. So you're never too old. It's never too late. As long as God has given you breath in your body, stop being insane. Stop being insane. Meaning, stop trying to do the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result. You've got to change. Change your way of thinking, change your life. And then the last thing, stop believing your press. Go with God. Listen to Him and do what He wants you to do. Let God transform you by changing the way you think. The word today is change your thinking. Change your life. As we get closer to Christmas, next week we'll talk about something more festive. Trust in the Lord with all your heart and don't lean on your own understanding. In all your ways, acknowledge Him and He will direct your path. Have a good night.